Good morning, everyone. I'm in a town in Akita Prefecture of the northern Tohoku region of Japan called Aniai. Aniai is a small town. I don't know the exact population because it's part of the larger municipality of Akita, so they don't keep, or they probably do keep statistics on town size, but finding it online in English is hard. Um, right now, I am at the elementary school in Aniai. And so this is the town of Aniai's elementary school. You can see they've got a playground back there, pretty basic playground, and it's raining right now, but there's snow on the ground. If you look at the mountains behind me, you can see that I don't know if you can see the mountains behind me. You can't. There's snow in the hills. It's a nice day for winter if you like to go up and enjoy uh, enjoy skiing or just being out in the woods, snowshoeing maybe. There's lots of that to do. What I want to do is show you around campus here a little bit. It's a Saturday, so I'm not I'm not going to disturb any education. But I want to walk just down the parking lot here and show you campus. So you can see there's a big building there, 2 stories. There's a little bit of a breezeway in between them here, connecting them, but the building is much larger than just the front half that you can see here. There's another building of equal size right here, and there's that breezeway connects these 2 large buildings. And then as we keep walking here, you can see there's this 3rd large building. So all these buildings are 2 stories. They're all connected by breezeways because it's cold and snowy here in winter, and so it's nice to be able to move between the buildings without having to go outside in the rain and wind and cold. And then they've even got, it looks like a swimming pool right here and a little changing room as part of the elementary school. I suspect this is just part of the public works as part of the school, not necessarily just for the students. But as you'd expect to have at a large elementary school like this, a big play field here. And I'm sure they play baseball and probably soccer, football they would call it here, but gives you a general idea of what we're looking at here for the scale of the school. Now I want you to think for a minute, how many students does Aniai Elementary School have? Just think for a minute. Are you ready? The answer is 23 students go to this school. 23 students and a total of 10 staff. So the student to staff ratio is less than 3 students per staff member. This reflects the really dramatic population decline we've seen in Akita Prefecture, and it's symptomatic of what's going on across Japan. Japan's total fertility rate has dropped to under 1.5 children per woman on average. That's the number of children a woman can expect to have as a statistical average in her lifetime. The total fertility rate needs to be just above 2 children per woman to replace the population. So without the population replacing itself, then population will decline. There's another thing going on besides that in Akita Prefecture here, and especially in the more rural places like Aniai, which is that not only are women not having as many children as they used to, but also the economy is pushing people out of the region because this is a resource extractive intensive region where most employment was in traditionally resource extractive industries like logging, fishing, not so much where we are here because we're in the mountains, but fishing on the coast. Farming is an important part of the economy here. And as those industries become less important and living and working in cities becomes more important, there's a lot of pressure on young people to move out of the region. One of the consequences of that for places like Akita Prefecture is that the number of old people who live here as a proportion of the number of younger people is increasing. That has a negative trend on the population size as well because old people don't have kids as often as young people. And in fact, if we use a common measure of old to young people in the population called the aged dependency ratio, that is the ratio of people age 65 or older, so what we would consider retirement age, to those age 15 to 65, what we would consider working age. Akita has one of the highest ratios in the world. It's at 60 per 100 working aged adults. So for every 100 people aged 15 to 65, there are 60 people aged 65 or older. It's one of the highest in Japan, and therefore it's one of the higher in the world as well. That means that there's not a lot of people to do work in the region compared to the number of people who are retired and eventually might need more and more help as they age. This is one of the symptoms of a long declining total fertility rate. And in places like the United States, we've seen immigration bring up some of the gap because the United States total fertility rate has been, while not as low as Japan's, below replacement level for quite some time now. Because of United States immigration policy, the population has continued to grow, and we've avoided seeing consequences to population decline like we've seen influence Akita and the village here of Aniai. If trends continue in a place like Aniai, there soon won't be enough students to justify keeping the school open. In Japan, there's a lot of funding for schools. Obviously, paying 10 staff to operate a school for only 23 students is very expensive, but the government has made that commitment so far. But if there's not any more students, eventually they have to, if there's one or two students, eventually they have to come up with a solution to figure out where they're going to go. So these are some of the challenges facing places like Japan, and that places like the United States might increasingly face if total fertility rate continues to decline, and especially if the United States stops relying on migration to replace those missing children, if you will, to bring the population up to an increasing rate instead of what would be a decreasing rate.